Yo, hello, just quickly, yo, can someone let me out of...
Hey, Steve, have you checked the monitor for a second? Shh, bro, come on, I'm trying to watch a YouTube video here. Yo, guys, it is your boy Niran here, and welcome back. It's that time of the year again, and in terms of this issue, that means all times of the year. There have been many refereeing and VAR decisions that have taken place across the globe this year, and many of them have been incorrect. So today, we're taking a look at every single terrible VAR decision for the 23-24 season, all in one video.
Whoever's involved in this, stop it.
Now, 50% of you aren't subscribed to the channel right now, and I've got yet more important ACL reconstruction surgery, and also the editors, man, they need paying, get me? So please feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. This video, truthfully, it could have been 2 hours long. The time that it takes for VAR to actually make a decision most of the time before realizing they're focusing on the wrong passage of play. But honestly, lads, I think there's only one place to start, and I'm not just doing this because I'm a Liverpool fan, but Tottenham versus Liverpool. Oh my goodness gracious me. One of the maddest fallouts of any single set of VAR decisions I think I've ever seen. Official apology 6 minutes after full time. Actual refereeing audio having to be released after pressure from the clubs.
He's gone off.
Jurgen Klopp calling for a replay. It was a mess. After Luis Diaz had a goal disallowed for offside, despite quite clearly being onside. Now, this was because of a miscommunication between multiple layers of the VAR protocol. I think they thought that the goal had been given out on the pitch, so they gave the call to agree with the referee, thinking that he'd given it as onside. Turns out that it wasn't, and some random camera operator had to correct them, but by the time they'd realized, the game had already restarted. You know what I always found mad about this one, yeah? Yes, they realized late, but not that late. It's not like 20 minutes had gone by and they had to restart the whole thing. All that had happened in the time between restarting the game and them realizing was like one throw-in. Just call it back again. A goal is pretty significant in a game of football. Just say, oh yeah, sorry lads, miscommunication, bit of a mix-up there. Let's just chalk off the last 30 seconds and go back and give the goal. There's never any common sense with this thing, and that's what hurts me and frustrates me more than anything else. And there you have it, the biggest injustice that's happened to Luis Diaz all year. Well, actually, no, it could probably be. Another thing this highlighted to me is way too many cooks in the kitchen, and all they know how to do is slap the food in the microwave. It's like going to a Michelin star restaurant, yeah, and then realizing that 19 different people tried to cook your food, and 16 of them are just the waiters. They don't even cook the food normally. It was a mess. It was like an Xbox 360 party chat. Better mic quality on a Nokia 3310. And just to top it all off, the Diogo Jota red card in this one was an absolute joke. Now, next up, and we're going very recent. This isn't actually a VAR call, technically speaking, but shocking officiating. Tottenham once again involved Manchester City this time, and a classic 3-3. What a weekend of action we've had. Except it has to be ruined by referees again. And I know, they have a hard job, but VAR is there to help them. Please utilize it properly. In this case, just utilizing brain cells would have been good, as Simon Hooper sees Erling Haaland fouled on the halfway line, gives an advantage as he gets up to try and put a ball over the top to see Jack Grealish in behind. Does so, and then Simon Hooper blows for the free kick as Jack Grealish is running through one-on-one. I'm gonna be 1,000,000% honest with you. Match fixing.
This is corruption. This is a theft.
Erling Haaland's fuming the next morning. Don't be surprised to see Simon Hooper on a state on the floor next time he referees a Man City match. This one actually made no sense on like a variety of levels. If he'd not given the advantage in the first place, I would have got it. It's just bad timing. He didn't foresee the ball making it through to Jack Grealish. But at the point, you give the advantage, yeah? You just have to let that roll through. You can't then bring it back again. Even if, let's say, Haaland had played the ball over the top and it had run all the way through to Vicario. Point of the advantage is you let it go. Waiting for a man to be clean through on goal and then pull it back is just irresponsible officiating, because that's just doing your job badly, and it robbed Manchester City the chance of winning the game late on. This time we're giving the Premier League a break because we're on European duty now. It's the Champions League, the 97th minute, and Newcastle are just 1 minute away from an historic victory against Paris Saint-Germain, only for the ball to flick up off Tino Livramento's chest onto his arm, and for PSG to be given the softest handball penalty you've ever ever seen in your life. The rules of the Premier League are if it hits someone's, like, another part of someone's body and then their arm, it can't be given as a penalty. Although that wasn't listened to when Luton got a penalty against Wolves earlier on in the season.
Corruption.
UEFA just give a handball for everything. It doesn't matter what's happened beforehand. Excuse the pun. They'd probably give handball for that word. Even if that had touched Nick Pope's arm, they'd have given it as a penalty. You do know what my position is, don't you, ref? Well, I mean, we see so many soft handballs being given in the Champions League. I mean, what is Tino Livramento meant to do in this situation? The ball has flicked up at him at point blank range, and it's come off a different part of his body first. UEFA just have to change that rule. Now, I promise not all of these are going to include top 6 clubs, all right? We've got smaller teams, we've got different leagues, but Manchester City versus Arsenal, again, more foolishness here. How Mateo Kovacic didn't end up on the early train home is beyond me. This man should have been having a shower at half-time. Shin pads in the wash by the 60th minute, with one absolute horror challenge on Martin Ødegaard that should have been a straight red, that was only given as a yellow, and then just minutes later, when already on a yellow from the Ødegaard challenge, puts in the exact same tackle on Declan Rice and just somehow stays on the pitch. Now, Arsenal went on to win this match, so it didn't have an impact on the result per se, but that's not the point, lads. Where's the consistency? Now, one problem I have with VAR is the fact that they use screenshots and slow-mos all the time to make their decisions. Everything in slow motion looks infinitely worse than it does in full speed, and screenshots never provide the full story. Though I do realize the irony that I'm using screenshots in this video, that's just because of copyright law. If I wasn't to, I would get blammed off the whole website. But there's no reason why referees should be looking at screenshots when giving red cards or not. But the one time that a screenshot actually would have helped was this time when Kovacic should have been sent off, and it somehow didn't. The guy put Declan Rice into a biryani, and Arsenal were on the receiving end of a crazy decision versus Newcastle as well. Now, this one sparked all sorts of debate. I don't think I've ever seen a goal with more question marks still be given. There was a ball out of play in the mix, there was a push on Gabriel, I think there was a handball there. All it needed was a streaker from the crowd maybe being offside and you're completing the set. The Joe Linton push on Gabriel, for me, I know some people said Gabriel's just got to be stronger and want it more. I think that's a foul. That's just my personal opinion. It's a two-handed push on the back of his head. The ball out of play, bit of an optical illusion. I don't think you can confidently say it was out of play given the different angles, but somewhere along all of those lines, that goal had to just not stand. Alan Shearer's reaction to that goal versus the goal, however, that they conceded against PSG, very different indeed.
Fuck off.
Now, as I mentioned, it's not just top 6 clubs that have been getting affected by VAR decisions this season. Some of the smaller clubs have been as well, like Chelsea. As Destiny Udogie somehow escaped a red card for this wild two-footed lunge, only to then still get sent off later on in the game. You could argue it was his destiny not to make it to the end of this football match. But again, just by all laws applicable to a red card, he's got to go.
He has to go, blood.
If you were to compare that, like, for example, to Alexis McAllister's red card earlier on in the season, believe on his debut, can't remember. Now, this one actually got rescinded, thankfully, but at the time, it could have been very costly. Alexis McAllister just sent off for a complete 50-50. Not even barely even a foot left in. Man City faced off against Fulham earlier on in the season, and they ended up winning pretty handedly. One of the goals in this game, I can't believe was allowed to stand. And that was Nathan Ake's, right? The ball has been swung in from a corner. Nathan Ake's got his head to it. It's ended up bouncing, making its way through to the far corner. Now, can someone please tell me how Manuel Akanji swinging his foot at the ball to try and put it into the back of the net isn't interfering with play? I think if you were to look up the description of that phrase, it would be Manuel Akanji's ankle, just a picture of it. He might be labelled as the human calculator because he can do mental arithmetic, but I want him to work this one out, mate. I can guarantee he can't.
Whoa.
For 10 marks, explain why this goal is offside. Nathan, why have you written the number 56 as your answer? I'm sorry, boss, I panicked. I mentioned Fulham, but they were on the right side of a VAR decision recently, and that came against Wolves, who I've got to say, right, Wolves fans, I'm sorry, innit? I don't know what you did to the BGMOL, but they're not having you this season. Every week, if I was Gary O'Neill, I'd have just resigned. as for protest reasons. It's just such a weird team. No offense, but it's such a strange team to have an agenda against. I think, yeah, it's because they want to bring in orange cards, and they know that that would clash color-wise on the TV screens. So the Premier League, they just want to get you out of there, mate. I do apologize. It's a collateral. Hwang Hee-chan, to be fair, did earn himself a penalty in this game, so at least Wolves got a decision there. But Tim Ream, who brought him down, was already on a yellow card. Probably quite clearly could have been a sending off there. Then Nelson Semedo gives away a penalty, even though quite evidently he's got a foot on the ball. This one was only looked at once as well. And to be fair, even if you looked at it just one time, you'd see that he got the ball. And then Carlos Vinicius should have been sent off for headbutting Max Kilman, all in one game. The officials then apparently apologized to Gary O'Neill for all of these, but that doesn't, like, what is an apology going to do? Wolves aren't going to fly 4 positions up the table through apology difference. If you can acknowledge after the game has ended, right after the game has finished, that you've made an error, how are you not seeing that during the game? VAR is there to give you a second chance to make the right decision. So if you're somehow realizing 25 seconds after the game's ended that you've made mistakes, how did you not realise that at the time? This is all after, on game week 1, Andre Onana absolutely clotheslining Sasha Kalajic and it not being given as a penalty right at the death that I think would have earned Wolves a point or a win. I can't remember. Elsewhere in the Premier League, Matt Turner somehow got away with rugby tackling Johan Wisser of Brentford. James Ward-Prowse with a clear handball for West Ham against Luton. Takehiro Tomiyasu with probably the softest set of yellow cards, level with Diogo Jota, or the softest second yellow even, against Crystal Palace for his sending off. But honest, if you thought Premier League referees were bad, pour one out for EFL fans. Don't worry, lads, I do see your pain as well from time to time. I just obviously don't follow a team in the EFL, so I don't see games as regularly. I think the worst one that I got sent was from Walsall versus Forest Green, where this Don, basically becoming Thibaut Courtois, wasn't given as a penalty. How on earth is this hand not in an unnatural position? And on the international stage too, as Scott McTominay somehow had a unreal free kick disallowed for the softest foul I've ever seen on a Spanish goalkeeper. And I mentioned Spain there. La Liga is really the only other league where I've been able to find like successive bad decisions. I want to make it known that I did search for ones from the Bundesliga, Liga and Serie A. There were some bad ones, well, like a couple from Serie A, but they weren't too bad. Again, if you're a fan of a club in those divisions, please let me know down in the comments section how you think VAR is doing over there. But Spain, La Liga is going just as badly as the Premier League. And to be honest, Barcelona are getting some pretty bad ones against them. Barcelona were denied a penalty against Getafe. The referee was actually sent over to the screen to decide whether Barca should have earned themselves a penalty, only to then decide on a handball against Gavi for the ball being kicked against his arm from about 25 centimeters away, whilst he was in a ground tussle with a Getafe defender. What in the fuck is he supposed to do in that situation? Joao Felix the other day had studs installed, downloaded into his shin in the penalty area. You don't even have to be fouled that badly to earn yourself a pen, let alone get studsed by someone. Studsed is not a word. Lewandowski was briefly inducted into UFC versus Rayo Vallecano. Yeah, man, it's a shocker, but one of the worst ones I saw from La Liga again happened very recently, and it was Villarreal versus Sevilla, where Ben Brereton Diaz has been played through. He's managed to maneuver himself around a Sevilla defender who's fallen over and then slotted the ball into the back of the net. This was disallowed late on in the game because the Sevilla defender tripped himself over. Yeah, look at his feet. This man trips over his own feet, but because Ben Brereton Diaz put his arms slightly on this guy's shoulder, didn't push him down, was just maneuvering himself around, this goal was disallowed. Honestly, I would have understood it more if they'd have given it in real time and then flipped it the other way. If anything, the replay shows that it's even less of a foul than it might have been in full speed. So La Liga officials, you lot are having a stinker as well. Put the paella down and get to work. But honestly, no, I can't really say anything, because I think the Premier League, the way the Premier League is utilizing VAR is possibly some of the worst in the world. Again, VAR is there to give you a second opportunity to get things right, not to give you a second opportunity to get things even more wrong than you did before. But what do you make of these decisions? And is VAR actually helping or more of a hindrance? And if there's any VAR decisions that you think I've missed from this season so far, drop them down in the comments section, because I'll probably do another one of these videos at the end of the campaign too. But that is going to wrap it up from me. Once again, if you have enjoyed, feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course, please do subscribe if you're new to the channel. 50% of you currently not subscribed are watching regularly, so I would really appreciate it. We're so close to 700k as well. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @officialfng on Twitter, Insta, and on TikTok. It's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.